Hi Janet, this is Urbana. We have been writing to each other these days. This is your book, freshly out of print. It looks great. Thank you again for it. It's an amazing gift for all of us parents in Romania. And thank you again for this great opportunity to make this video interview. I think it will be great and very helpful for the parents here in Romania.
Ioana, thank you so much for this opportunity to participate in the publication of my book, No Bad Kids, in Romania. I am so excited, and thank you so much for all the hard work you've done on the translation and for all your encouragement and enthusiasm and for sharing this with your community. That's a good question. First of all, I actually don't think there's such a fine line between firm and authoritarian. I think that firm is commonly sort of misunderstood as this stern, angry thing that we have to do to get kids' attention, to teach them a lesson, to show them that we're the boss. And if we think about it, the leaders in our life that are actually the most powerful, confident, settled into their role leaders, which is, I believe, what we're all aspiring to be as parents for our children, these people they can be very firm, and they're very certain about their limits. And that certainty means they can say, we're going and it's time and you really don't want to go. I'm so firm in my limits. I'm so confident that I can actually speak to where you're at, and it doesn't change what I'm doing. So in regard to the park, I would say, first of all, I would have the perspective and the understanding of child development that children do have a hard time with transitions. Young children are in the middle of a huge transition. They're growing and changing and developing more in the first 3 years than in the whole rest of our lives put together. This is when it happens. And all these other transitions are difficult for them, particularly if there's even other transitions that are bigger in their life, like they're starting a new school, or their parents are having a baby, or they're moving houses, things like that. That just adds to the overwhelm. So understanding that going in to the situation will help us perceive our child's possible resistance as normal, expected, nothing to feel bad about or angry about, not to worry that there's something wrong with our child, that he doesn't obey us. He's or she's doing what they're supposed to do. So we go in with that attitude that there's a very good chance I'm going to have to physically follow through and not just say words, not just say it's time to go and have the expectation that my child will say, oh, sure, you're right, it is time to go, and let's go, Mom. That seldom happens in these early years. So knowing that our child will probably push back, especially if we've allowed them to get tired and stayed a little too long. So we're ready to come over with what I call confident momentum, knowing that we probably are going to have to lead our child out of the park. And we can do it with a smile, or at least not with anger, and be very firm about it. It's really time. And instead of saying, our child says, 1 more minute, and we say, oh, okay, we could make that decision, but we can also make the decision, you want 1 more minute, but it's really time to go. Here we go. And you take their hand and you're confidently moving them out. So this works because we're not allowing that standoff to happen between us and our child, which is so much harder to work through and to get our child through. Once we've said, okay, it's time, and they say no, and then, now we're saying, come on, no, we really have to go. I gave you the minutes that you asked for. And meanwhile, there's this chasm growing between us, and our child is having to hold his ground as a, self-confident toddler, or 4-year-old or 6-year-old even. And we're trying to hold our ground, and now we're going to clash and we're going to get angry. So instead of that, coming in early, right away knowing that we're probably going to have to usher our child out and doing it. And it's easy, even with a large child, if we come in early and with that momentum and with that understanding that there's nothing wrong happening here. This is how it's supposed to be. And then maybe there's things that we can do the next time to make it easier for ourselves. Not have our baby in our arms, have the baby in a stroller or someplace where we're able to give that older child our full attention. Or maybe we don't stay as long. Maybe we decide to go in the morning rather than the afternoon when our child's always tired and it's harder. So there's things that we can learn from these experiences about how to prevent them. But in the moment, having a reasonable expectation, understanding development, understanding that this is normal, and coming in as the leader who is confidently in charge. And when you're confidently in charge, you don't have to be angry or stern or lose your cool at all. Now, I do work with a lot of families who've shared with me similar things, that they felt like they were bad and they were shamed, maybe just a little bit shamed, or maybe they really felt that they, were treated as if they were bad kids, and that became part of their identity. And the problem with that is that, yes, we can start to behave out of kind of a fear of our parents' rejection or possibly physical punishments, being afraid of actually things happening to us that really hurt physically, or just losing our parents' love. And we can step up and behave better, be good children with that motivation. But what it does is it leaves us with a feeling inside that we are bad, and we hold on to that shame, and it doesn't help us in life. It's something that the parents I work with that have that are always, dealing with, that they've had to be the good child, and something was lost there. They lost belief in themselves as whole, belief in themselves as okay, that they are good people, that they have good instincts. It's hard to go through life like that, and it can lead to a lot of things that aren't helpful. Also, it can lead to us really not feeling completely comfortable sharing with our parents. It's hard to be intimate and share things that you've done that maybe you are a little ashamed of with somebody that has shown you that they see you as bad in some areas, or a lot of areas. So we have to ask ourselves what we want out of parenting. I'm really glad you brought that up. That is what we have to keep as our goal in everything we do. And we nurture our relationship in all kinds of directions with every interaction we have with our child, which, feels like a lot of pressure, I know. Children are very forgiving, but we do have to repair, ideally, if we want to keep that relationship steeped in trust and mutual respect. The approach I teach, we believe that respect has to come from us first. I know there's other schools of thought that believe you get your child to respect you, and maybe once they do that, then you start to respect them. But children are here to learn about relationships from us. They don't have an idea of what they're supposed to be. They can only know what we show them. So if we communicate honestly, if we stay on their side, if we're unconditional in our regard for them, even when they're doing wrong things that we don't want them to do, that we see our role as to help rather than push away a child that is misbehaving, all of those things are part of the fabric of our relationship. And you know, we're always working on it until we die. We're working on these relationships. And I can tell you with adult children, they continue to be works in progress. All of these ideas that felt so true and right to me have panned out to be, to develop the kind of relationships I always dreamed of having with other people, my children.
Thank you again. You are great. You are amazing. Thank you.
So thank you so much. I hope this community grows. And again, thank you for the time and for doing this translation. And I'm so excited about the book.